whether people want to credit you or not, you are probably the most bullseye uh standard of what we know as the 80s pop sound. I know that Prince was an architect. I know that Michael was a god and all that stuff, but when you sort of clean the room out, I can only imagine what your life is like once you have the success with Whitney. But who was your guide to even, because I feel like every creator needs something to sponge off of to be like, all right, this is what I'm going to create. But even at that, what was your phone line like? What was your life like? Like, I'm not even getting on like the effect that it had on Whitney. What did the effect of the Whitney albums have on you in terms of, demand? I need you to do my record. I need you to do my record. You got to, like, because I'm certain now if people are hiring you, they're expecting you to contribute the song that's going to also bring them to 12 billion units and 16 million units. Like, are even allowed the freedom to just write a song that's not going to be hit, but this is a really clever song and da 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 da. Like, what is your life?
I'd be allowed to write it. I'd be allowed to write it, but I was always knowing this is KBLX Quiet Storm format song. This is top 10 format song. This is R&B top 10 song. I could differentiate, because don't forget, at that time, we don't talk about it, but I'll talk to you now. Any artist that came through our door, Black artist, we had always think how we're going to break them first on Black radio, R&B radio. We could just think pop. You think, yeah, you want to get the pop, but you have to first go through your R&B door. So we knew those worlds, R&B, pop, of course, country, jazz, and then Quiet Storm, kind of a hybrid, easygoing music, which now becomes smooth jazz, whatever that is. So we knew the different categories. You had to know that as a producer, because if you didn't, you couldn't make it as a producer. You had to be making, this is going to be this is going to give us the R&B radio, and then we have enough of the hook to go to pop radio and do well. Even the thinking with Clive Davis and Arista putting out You Give Good Love first was to ingratiate mom and pops and Black radio and our Black community that she's ours. Before they came with a Saving All My Love for You and How I Know That's for the World. That was a very thought about decision. You see what I'm saying? That's how it was at that time. Everything had to be a certain way if it was a Black artist. Now, pop artists, like you mentioned, Starship, I'm not worrying about that, because they're already, that's Grace Slick, we love. Mickey Thomas, killer singer. That's a band that we all know. They already had We Built This City and Sarah. They had damn hits, mean. So I got my electronic drums. Put that funk drive on it on a Diane Warren song. That became her first #1. And it was so strong, I knocked myself out of #1. George Michael, Aretha Franklin, New Way for Me, knocked myself out of #1. That's how it was at that time. Because the drums, the sound, I knew was the power. You have wait a minute. And we changed the sound to be like mighty. And don't forget what our competition was. Your friend, Prince. He had the hell of a drums. He knew it. And not only did he know it, he put his foot up your butt about it. Those drum tracks he put down, look at Purple Rain. And the sound is almighty. He was a mean scientist. And everyone, you want to be competitive, you better be able to get down with it with these new machines, or you're out.
Can you please tell me about the sessions of Aretha and George with I Knew You Were Waiting for Me, but could you also tell me about Aretha and Whitney's It Isn't, It Wasn't, It Ain't Ever Gonna Be?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Like, did they do them together, or what was those sessions like?
Well, there's two different records you're talking about now.
Right.
You asked first about the George Michael record.
I'm excited. Sorry.
Okay, I am too. I am too, man. I am too. Okay, so dig on I Knew You Waiting for Me as a Clive Davis pick. Clive said, I've met with George Michael. He wants to do a song with Aretha. He loves Aretha. I said, okay. And he said, I found this song. I'm gonna send it to you. And Clive sent me the song. And powerful song, I Knew You Waiting for Me. But again, it's the magic of my team to bring those chimes with Corrado on the synth guitar on the very beginning against the drum. So you have to understand at that time, you had to have this new sound before anybody even opened their mouths. Just the sound of the record had to be like a hit. Kind of like Motown was a hit. I know you want that was a hit. See what I mean? So in the electronic world, we had to put that thing down to sound good in this room with and then lay it all out with the vocals, backing vocals, all sounding finished. Then when I went to Detroit, I had 3 days, and they were on tape. So we only have 10 tracks a piece for Aretha and for George. Aretha comes in the first day, lays out her verses and choruses, and then not blowing on the end. I want to save that for a live thing with George. Then the next day comes in George. Aretha's not there. George is very nervous. He's very nervous. And he's a control freak. He's only produced himself. He's only had one guy produce him from that, do they know it's Christmas time? Besides that, he's done his own masterpieces. So we have 10 tracks for George. I want to say this because this is important for my life.
Yes.
George goes on the mic and he sings the song. And he goes almost through 10 of those tracks. He goes through those 10 tracks. And I happen to know the first 4 tracks are my record because he was so strong. As he's gone to the 6th and 7th and 8th track, is diminishing a little bit. He says to me, go back over those first tracks. I want to do more vocals. And that's when I became a producer. And I said, no, we're not doing that. These first 4 tracks, 5 tracks, that's my record. That's the record. You think you're getting better, but in fact, you're diminishing.
How do you Jedi mind trick an artist to get out of their head?
You have to say, just trust me. That's all you got to do. Because you say, go home. Let me comp this. When you come back tomorrow, I'm gonna play. I stay up all night. Go home. I'm gonna put it together. And when you're here tomorrow, you come in fresh to do your backing vocal. You come in fresh to do your ad-libs with the queen. Get your rest, because that's gonna be the challenge. And if anything bothers you tomorrow, then we can do that. After I've had a chance to comb through what I know is my hit record. And then he said, okay. But he looked at me like, who are you to talk to me like this, He looked at me like, who you think you are? But I had to let him know, George, you think you're getting better. But in fact, these first tracks were mighty. Yeah. So then he gave in. He gave in. The next day, that was genius because now he's meeting the queen. And the queen's happy to be meeting him because he's a big star. And then what it is, we have 2 mics. I have enough to do 4 rounds of ad-libs on the ending with 2 tracks a piece. And Aretha goes easy on those first tracks. She's, just filling them out like a prize. It's like a prize fighter. She is a fucking prize fighter. She's a prize fighter. But then on the 3rd and 4th go rounds, she let him have it, man. And that's on that record. What you hear. And he's stunned. He's stopped because he could handle the power. No one can. So what I'm saying to you is I'm very proud of that record. Not only because it's number 1, because the friendship that George and I made of him trusting me and me having to be strong to say, no, we're stopping. So like that.
You do the same process with Whitney and Aretha? Like,
Whitney,
do you prefer them to sing
that
apart,
song,
or
that song, they were together. Cut the tracks here, go to Detroit, United Sound with my engineer, Dave Fraser. We fly over together, United Sound, in the same studios where George Clinton would be hanging out.
I know.
We want the funk, all that stuff in those same rooms.
Q-Tip has that board now.
Who does?
Q-Tip has the API board. Yes.
Okay.
The API board.
Okay.
Well, so what was that session? It's again, like, you have 2 women at the top of their game, 2 gods at the top of their game. How are you refereeing how the song's gonna go? That you're allowed to tell me. And I can tell by the look on your face, you gotta hold some stuff back. So
they're both in heaven. They're both looking down upon us right now, and they're hearing us.
Okay.
And they give me love. Because it was love. But this is what I gotta share with you, what you know. Aretha Franklin, I mentioned to you, a prize fighter, is true. Whitney Houston's one of the greatest of all time. But Aretha, Whitney with Aretha, Aretha was a little girl when her mother sang back up on those hits with Aretha. Aretha's a little girl. I mean, Whitney's a little girl around those sessions. So Aretha to Whitney is like Auntie Riri, like Lassie, Auntie Riri. So sweet like that. So here I'm going to go with. I'm sitting at the board. Whitney's sitting on the floor. We get there early. She's on the floor time. You can't really see. She's just cross-legged on the floor. When Aretha comes to the door in her fur coat and her prize fighter mode, like when De Niro goes into his mode to make his movie, he's already in character. She's in character to take this man or keep her man. So she looks at me, she goes, where is she? Like kind of harsh like that. Where is she? Where is she? Now you throw me off. Where is she?
Wait.
Oh, you mean Whitney? She's right here on the floor. And then she peers down and look at Whitney, you know. Oh, so you're Miss Houston. And Whitney's like, Auntie Riri. The cast was spelt right there. The song would be like, how you going to take my man? How you going to even sing about taking my man? She put that thing on it right from the very beginning. Right from the very beginning. We did the song. Whitney is so effortless at that time with her vocals. She did the most killer riff I've ever heard her do. And then she left because she could feel that it wasn't a good vibe. And Aretha stayed. Aretha said, go to that part of the tape where she did that incredible thing. She punched me in right after it. I said, okay. And we did. And she punched me in there again, make sure I'm doing what I want to do. Because she wanted to make sure she was bringing her fire as strong as what Whitney had done, just effortlessly. Yeah. And we did. And then when she got what she wanted, which was killer, she left. But then she called me back on the phone and said, do you think I was too harsh today? I said, well, you might want to give her a phone call. She said, yes, I will. She said, I was in character for the song. I said, I know you were. But damn, when you're in character, I mean, you're like life and death, man.
That's the thing. I always see a duet as like a collaboration. I never like, I'm not thinking that like Michael Jackson, Paul McCartney about to start brawling, you know, like I'm gonna out-sing you, you're out-singing me. I think as the average listener, I wouldn't listen from the standpoint of like, who's gonna win this battle? I'm thinking of like, how they're gonna create magic together. It's so weird that how artists get in their heads. Well, wait, I might as well throw one more thing in, because if I remember correctly, I believe on that record, there's also the opening song is James Brown and Aretha Franklin.
Yes.
How was that session? Because I've talked to Full Force before about working with James Brown, and there's a lot of punch-ins and whatnot. Like
James is my hero. You know, you're a drummer, so you know the power of Cold Sweat. The power of Cold Sweat, what they put down was just like so far ahead. If you want to be respected as any kind of drummer, you had to be able to play Cold Sweat. And so here I am in this room with James Brown. You call him Mr. Brown. You don't call him James, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown, right.
And he said, I want cue cards. And first of all, he thought, where is she? You know, he wanted to see Aretha. I said, well, she's not here. You're coming in to sing your parts, and I'm going to go to Detroit and put her parts. So he was sad because he really had a kind of a romantic thing in his mind about Aretha. Right. It'd be great if the king and the queen came together and he was all there, you know. So we made these big cue cards. So here I'm holding big cue cards. You know, I'm kind of throwing them away as he's singing the song, throwing cue cards. But that's how he recorded. And he's a killer, just doing his grunts and his stuff and reading the cue card and kind of being spontaneous. It was a killer session. I loved him. I loved you. And also, I knew he likes to play organ. So I had my organ in here. You go and fiddle with the organ and play that.
You let him play organ?
Yeah, I would. Yeah, no, I would, because I know it'd make him happy. See? And then he would say, you're the only one keeping the funk alive. Damn, Mr. Brown, thank you for saying that. You're the only one keeping the funk alive. Said, damn, okay. So then I went back and put Aretha on it, and Aretha killed it too. It just wasn't meant to be. And Prince, your bro, did a remix on that record. Did you know
That's
that?
Right. That's right.